If you want better converting landing pages, you're not going to want to miss this episode of Guerrilla Marketing Makeover. In this episode, we take a look at a DUI Lawyers landing page. And let me tell you, I think somebody did it while they were drunk. Let's take a look. So I was walking in downtown Phoenix the other day and I saw the back of a bus and it had one of those display ads on the back for a DUI attorney. So I thought it might be a good subject matter for this week's episode. So let's dive right into this. But before we do get into the actual page itself, I want to go through the anatomy of a perfect landing page. And this is coming from Kissmetrics, which, if you're not familiar with Kissmetrics, it's a great analytics tool for websites, just to really get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on with the site. So if you're into numbers and you're into analysis, which every website needs a base level of analytics to be effective, because you need to understand what's going on. But Kissmetrics takes analytics to a whole new level. So, and besides their software, they have some really, really good information on digital marketing, web marketing, that kind of stuff. So I highly recommend their website at kissmetrics.com. They have some great infographics. But they did one a while back that is called the Anatomy of a Perfect Landing Page. And so that's what we're looking at here. We're going to use this sort of as the benchmark when we analyze this page. So it's going to help you understand sort of what are the best practices. What's the baseline that you need to use for your landing pages in order to get the highest conversions, because ultimately that's what we want. You can drive traffic to your pages all day long. You can get all the traffic in the world, but A, if it's not targeted, if it's not the right people that want to hear your message or have a problem that you can solve, and B, it doesn't convert, it doesn't make them take some sort of action, it's all a waste of time. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to go through these 10 components and then we'll take them and measure them against our DUI Lawyers page. So the very first thing that you notice is that you have to have a well-written, a compelling headline that's going to draw people in. And you'll notice here in this little example, this little mock-up they have, that it's sort of in a different color, so it stands out and it's going to draw people into the page. So it's sort of the beginning, first step, the hook. It's what you want people to notice first. Now, the other thing I want you to notice above that headline, yeah, it's fine to have your branding up there, but look at it, it doesn't dominate. And we'll get into this when we look at this page about so many people are so into their logo. They got to have their logo big because they think everybody cares about it, but they don't. So that's a really key component. The second part of this is a secondary headline, which just takes that primary headline and flows it in and tells a little bit more of the story. The third component is a little bit of copy, a little bit of body copy that, again, just drills down into more detail about how you can help or positioning the person's problem so that they can relate to it, and when they land on the page, they say, oh yeah, this is about me, this is about my problem, and these guys might be able to help me. And if you'll notice that they have like some little bullet points. Bullets are really important because people like to scan these kind of pages. People are really busy. They don't have a lot of time. They're not going to read a bunch of stuff. And there's debate about different lengths of copy, and that's a whole different thing. I mean, that's a whole different conversation. But the point is you want to have the right kind of copy, make it very scannable. The fourth thing on this little example is a testimonial. And if you're not familiar with a book by an author, he's a professor at Arizona State University named Robert Cialdini. He wrote a book, I don't know, a while back called Influence, or The Power of Influence, something like that. Look it up on Amazon. But there are 6 things that persuade people to do various things, and this is true of online stuff versus offline. If you're a server in a restaurant, if you apply these principles, you're going to get higher tips, that kind of thing. And one of those is social proof, and you can see here that testimonials from people that are credible, that look like they're real. Well, you want them to be real, but they're not just like a first name or initials, and then from Busted Whistle, South Dakota. So you want them to look like they're from real people, and if you can use video, that's the best form of testimonial to get real people to talk about their experience with your product or service. So social proof is really, really important. The next element here, number 5, is your call to action. You want your call to action to be very, very clear. There's no doubt about what you want people to do on this page, and you're asking them or you're telling them to do what you want them to do. So in this case, you can see here that it's a button. This could pop up a window that asks for their first name and an email address, for example. It could be a phone number, a combination of the two. But you'll also notice that there's contrast. You want to have contrast, visual contrast between your call to action and the rest of the page. You don't want everything to kind of be this blur of the same color where everything just sort of blends together and it's hard to find what's what. The 7th element is links. So, Google, if you're going to use this for Google pay-per-click advertising, for example, Google likes to see that it's not just a landing page. You want to see that there's some other links on it. So that's why that's there. Number 8 is having a visual that's representative of the person that you're trying to reach, the target. So in this case, it could be a photo of, I don't know, somebody with handcuffs or somebody blowing into a field sobriety test breathalyzer thing. Or it could be a video. It could be a short video, and I mean short, as an introduction, 60 to 90 seconds at the very most, to position what your product or service is all about. And then below that, number 9 is just means that you want this stuff to be above the fold or above the browser fold in the first screen that people see. And that has something to do with a person's screen resolution. But there are ways to determine kind of what the average screen resolution is for people that come to your pages, and so you can design for that. So this is the anatomy of a good landing page structure. All right. So that being said, let's pop right over to our DUI lawyers, right? So let's look at this. So based on the 10 things that we just looked at, the first thing that hits me is the fact that this thing is all one color. I don't know, my eye doesn't know where to go. If we look at the first thing, there's really no compelling headline. There's a call to action, which is good. They want you to call this number, but why should I call you? I don't know. What are you going to do for me? And the other thing too is if we look above at the top of the page, the banner, it's got their logo really big and stuff. DUI answers. So anyway, there's not a good compelling headline. There's no subheadline. There's no positioning copy. They've got this scrolling imagery, which is all ego driven. Okay, this rating thing is good. It's good, a good authority, good credibility. This national top 100, that's great, but it's all ego driven. Look at how great I am. Look at how great our company is, but it doesn't say anything about, well, how are we going to help you? And I got to imagine that the DUI legal space is pretty competitive. So, that being said, that's a bit of a waste of real estate. That should be farther down the page. There should be a photo that really, again, positions the problem that the prospect is having. All right, so there's a video here which is a good thing, and I actually looked at this video ahead of time. But this video is actually really good because it kind of does, or it kind of says in this video, what should be said on this landing page. So what they do with this video is they get into, well, there's a couple problems with it, but one being the fact that they're using this video. It's a one-size-fits-all video. And you can see here that this little title screen, it's too small. It's too small for the size of this video and this application. You need to do, and that's where people get lazy with this stuff. You need to create a video or modify an existing video so that it fits the application. You may have, this might be a great video for your YouTube page because it's got your number and it's got your logo and stuff on it as a title slide. But here, it doesn't work. But what does work with this video is that.
So you were pulled over for a DUI.
So they immediately get into the pain that the person is feeling. So they say, immediately been pulled over for a DUI. So immediately out of the gate, it's relating to the person that's coming to the page. And that ought to be the headline. So you've been pulled over for a DUI or something like that. And so this video, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's 6 minutes long, but what they do well here is, again, position it, the person's pain, the problem that they're having, and then they go into education. They talk about the trial process and what they can expect and how these guys can help. And really, when you do these kind of videos, the script that you have should be reflected in how you design the landing page. So if it were me, I would take this video and I would use it as the model for the rest of this page. Because the rest of this page, if we go through our model, or if we go back to our 10 things, we saw that there's there's body copy below here, but it's really poorly executed. And look at this. It starts with attorney Nick Alcock has handled thousands of DUI. So it's all about him, which is great. And there's a place for that. You want to put in again the fact that he's got experience and credibility and authority, but that needs to be a bit secondary. You might put in here, some photos of this person to break it up a little bit because his copy is just so dense and it's just like hard to read because it's got the right justified. So it's just really hard to read. And remember how you need to break the page up so it flows, because people are going to scan. You might want to separate these out with some subheadlines that bring home the main points of whatever you're talking about here. So subheadlines to break this up would help a lot. I don't personally like these two column layouts. I think it creates visual disharmony. And you got the big photo. I mean, the photos are cool, but again, this is a complete ego thing, man. Just have a big picture of the lawyer on there. And I think it's important to have photos. I think it's important to have video because you want to establish rapport, a bit of rapport as much as you can in this kind of an environment. Look at this. We care about our clients. I mean, talk about just a stupid generic marketing statement. Well, how do I know you care about your clients? There's no social proof on here. There's no testimonials. People want to see that you've helped other people solve the problem that you're having. So again, if you can have video testimonials, that's the gold standard. If otherwise, put in quotes from people that look real and are from real people, obviously. So let's take a look at the call to action here. And obviously that is the main reason that we're doing all this. We want to have a good, clear call to action so that we convert that lead into a prospect that we can follow up with later, and hopefully they'll become a customer or a client. Now, if we look at this particular page, you've got a phone number up here, which is cool. That's a good call to action. But it would be better if above the fold there was a better call to action with a button that could pop open a little window that would ask for their name, first name, last name, email address, and phone number in this case, I think, because it's an attorney's office. You want to be able to call people and schedule an appointment. But, this should be a little bit more compelling. What are you going to get when you call? Is it a free consultation? Am I paying for this? What exactly is it? I mean, obviously most lawyers, they'll do some sort of a free report as an educational piece again, or they'll offer a free consultation. This doesn't do any of that. So I think there's a big missed opportunity with that as well. I think having a phone number is good, but another little tip is I would make it a trackable phone number. Trackable phone numbers, if you're not familiar with them, what they do is they allow you to take a pool of numbers and you can assign a different number that all ring into your main phone number or whatever phone number that you want. And it allows you to track which marketing piece they came from. So for example, let's say you used one of those tracking numbers on a bus ad. So you know how many people called you from that bus ad. Same thing with your website, same thing with print material. You can use those trackable phone numbers in a way to see which marketing campaigns are working the most effectively, which ones are converting the most. There's a service that I use called callrail.com. It's relatively inexpensive, but it's a good platform for doing that if you want to use trackable phone numbers in your marketing. So as we've dissected this, we can see that there's lots of issues. And so again, you look here and the call to action just gets buried in this color. It just gets buried. There's no contrast. There's no button. It's pretty bad, actually. So, and I'm not trying to bag on these guys because I see this everywhere. And if you look at marketing, if you're out walking around and you see advertising with domain names on them, you go check it out. And I will tell you, 9 times out of 10, they're pretty awful and they're not converting as well as they should. And it just blows my mind that companies spend all this money on billboards or radio ads or TV ads or pay-per-click marketing, and they take them to these awful landing pages that just really aren't very effective. So there you go. That's the DUIHelp.com website. I hope you found this analysis of value so that you don't make the same mistakes on your own company or business or personal landing pages. And you know what? If you found this of value, I would really love it if you shared it with your friends and colleagues on Facebook, Twitter, wherever you happen to find it. And you know what? Leave a comment. I want to hear what you think about this stuff. If you find it valuable, please leave me a comment and let me know what you think. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.